Hello, everybody, and this is the Freedom Hour. Finn, aka Liberty Lover, and I am joined by Crambo and Mimir's Head.
Hello.
Hello, evening, gentlemen.
What's going on, man?
Yes.
Interesting name, Freedom Hour. Isn't it supposed to last for a half hour?
Ah, shush. It's a pilot. What do you expect?
Well,
Yes.
this debate's done. We win.
That's the show. You don't even have to pick us up, regional. No, I'm just fucking kidding. We're here to discuss what Crambo likes to call a schism in the Libertarian Party.
Not really the party, as the party has already taken a side on the schism. I'm talking about the Libertarian movement as a whole and the entire half of the political compass.
Elaborate.
I'm talking about the philosophical schism between people like Rand Paul, for example, who follows Locke and Hobbes and the Founding Fathers more closely and more literally, as opposed to other people in the libertarian movement, especially down towards the anarcho-capitalist end of things, who take a lot of cues from Rothbard.
So it's basically it's like the fight between the ANCAPs and the minarchists, that kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
Would you classify this as like left libertarianism versus right libertarianism, or something?
No, the ANCAPs are right libertarians, and so are the classical liberals, generally speaking.
Yeah, there are very few left-wing libertarians that I could even point out. I think the only ones that would stick out are people like, I don't know if you've heard of her, but Leslie Peterson, who's an SJW libertarian.
Yeah, see, I don't think left libertarians even exist. I think that's an oxymoron, but there are some people who think that exists, so if we just clarify it.
I'd be careful there.
Are you trying to insinuate that libertarianism is an inherently, right-wing idea?
Oh no, it's only outside perception. I mean, because a lot of people think, oh, libertarian, you mean a literal fascist? It's
the one I get the most is people that are like, oh, libertarian, you mean another type of conservative?
Yeah, that too.
That's not even that far off the mark, though.
I would disagree.
Well, I guess it depends on the issue, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly conservatives don't agree with the idea of ending the war on drugs and downsizing the military, do they?
No, but broadly speaking, especially on financial issues and on a great number of social issues, there's a lot of common ground to be found there.
I can see that.
Now, would you all say that libertarianism is generally a more secular form of like mainstream conservatism?
No.
I don't think it's. I don't think that
for
would.
the record here, so that we can get this out of the way. I consider myself to be a classical liberal.
That's shocking to even me.
If you'd like to declare your intentions as well.
Minarchy. I'm a minarchist. I was a full-blown anarchist, but then I realized that makes no fucking sense. So I basically became a anarchist that was struck with the burden of reality.
I like to hear that. That's kind of where I've been at for a while. Some people would call me a right libertarian. Some people called me a libertarian nationalist. People who don't know anything about politics would call me alt-right or a Nazi or something like that. So,
or does that mean you have like ideas that are similar to like nationalism, protecting the sovereignty of a country, that kind of thing?
Yes, very nationalistic. However, I think this is a long topic that I've talked about on my YouTube channel. If you'd want to go into it.
Oh gosh, you're gonna make a plug.
Plugging your YouTube channel.
Go ahead, make the plug. I don't give a shit.
I'd like to say that nationalism is something very near and dear to my heart, and I'm probably as far from National Socialism as you could possibly be.
It's like a reverse Oreo cookie. I'm the black filling, surrounded by two white nationalists.
What? No, not white nationalism.
No, I'm just fucking with you. It's like a big Oreo cookie. I'm the softie surrounded by two hardcore nationalists pressing against me.
Absolutely.
You were just saying that you were an anarchist that's come to terms with reality, right?
Yeah, basically, I understand that there is some use for government. Ow, dang! I realized that there's some use for government. Yes, I
Okay,
don't think that.
that's what I was getting at.
Basically, the idea that anarchy can't exist, even if you stripped away all the state and federal and world governments tomorrow, there would be some sort of structure of rules, which would, by definition, eliminate the possibility of anarchy.
Right, yeah. I would say that I have a real love for the Ancapistan ideal, the philosophy behind it, but we have to come to terms with the fact that it's just not realistic unless there is extreme social upheaval and a lot of undesirables are removed from the world, which just isn't. Not only is it not moral, it's not feasible. So,
I'd like to point out that I'm probably the most left wing of us here.
sure,
That
yeah.
shocks even me. I've been called left wing by a lot of people, and I've never understood why.
Well, I'm the true definition of a centrist, I guess. I get called a leftist by right wingers, and I get called right wing scum by leftists. So,
Well, I think this goes back into the discussion about the Libertarian Party, because it seems like the Libertarian membership is divided on pretty much all issues. You have one part that's hardcore, principled, like Ron Paul people, and then you have the other side that's just like, oh, you want open borders? You're crazy. You're not a real libertarian, and then it just goes back and forth.
well, to be fair, I hold both of those positions to be true.
Which
Uh-oh.
positions?
That if you want open borders, you're not thinking logically.
That means I'm not a
about
real
things.
libertarian. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. Well, in order to enforce liberty, you do need to have some forms of restrictions.
Enforcing
on-
liberty goes against the NAP. You can't enforce liberty.
This
Oh,
this
but
go-
you can, my
th-
friend.
This
You
goes
can.
back
I
to the
don't,
whole like Adam Kokesh
You must
versus
be
Molyneux
free.
debate.
Yeah, this is the Rothbard versus Locke.
Yeah, the egalitarian.
I don't
versus
take the
nationalist.
non-aggression principle as an axiom like you do.
I take it as the general principle to being somebody that advocates for liberty. You won't use force to.
Yeah, but
you aren't going to use
if
force
I
to
don't-
push social or political goals.
I don't want to misrepresent you here, but I'm under the impression that you take it as an axiom, meaning a self-evident statement, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't see it that way.
and why not?
Because I think that you can ground that in something like human nature, for example, or God if you lean that way.
So you think the non-aggression principle doesn't work with human nature?
No, I think that it's part of human nature.
To not use force.
I think it's part of human nature to encourage nonviolent means of achieving your goals. I think that using force on people without just cause is definitely contrary to human nature, insofar as people will react very badly to that sort of thing.
That train is violating the NAP by interrupting my podcast.
Someone get the McNukes.
No, those are my recreational nukes, okay? They don't hurt anybody. I need nukes for my safety. If we had more nukes, there'd be less bombings.
Look, I can still carry a nuclear briefcase. I don't know about you guys.
Where do I get one of those? Doc Brown said by 1985 they'd be on every corner drugstore.
If only.
Now,
No,
I have a.
that's another wing of the party right there, and that's kind of why I lean towards minarchism, is because I think it's a very terrible idea to let people have nuclear weapons.
I tend to draw the line at chemical, biological, nuclear.
Weapons of mass destruction, so they're called.
Yeah.
Weapons of mass destruction. That's such a subjective term. I've always hated it. Weapon
Yeah.
of mass destruction.
It's the fucking like UN
It's
definition.
a weapon of mass destruction. And I just lost the pitch with that comment.
Now, I would ask you, Governor, a question here if we're talking about the non-aggression principle, which I would almost take the third position here. Do you think that there are any requirements for societies to follow the non-aggression principle?
Yeah,
Is-
don't
is-
be a dick.
Well,
Don't aggress against other people that can't defend themselves.
do you think that, and I'm not making a positive statement here, I'm asking you, do you think that there are any outside factors that influence whether a country has a sort of non-aggression principle society? Is it cultural? Is it religious? Is it...
I do think it's cultural, because there are violent cultures throughout the world.
Sure, yeah. It's just, I just wanted to know if you think that there's a prerequisite for having a society.
First, the society has to be stable. Like Western societies are stable. You know,
Right.
we have a lot of things that are provided to us. You know, we're not in deep shit like sub-Saharan Africa or the Middle East where people literally die of diarrhea. You know, we're not like that.
Diarrhea is no joke, man.
Yeah, they got to turn that shit into liveria soon. Okay,
I think that's why they don't have places like Taco Bell in sub-Saharan Africa.
more than likely.
They couldn't handle it.
Yeah,
That's a real weapon of mass destruction.
but yes, because we are already a stable society, I think that we can all get along with the idea of non-aggression because we just want to live our lives, you know, work, you know, make some money, buy the shit we want,
Right.
and live happy lives. Whereas over there, they literally have to fight to survive. Like, they're still dealing with fucking guinea worm.
Right. Yeah. Their civilization has not come to the same head that we have.
Yeah, they
I
died.
could actually make a point there about enforcing liberty as well, about how, for example, we could have solved a lot of the malaria problems in the world, probably could have wiped it out near entirely, if we would have simply gone in and used DDT as extensively as we did in the Americas and in Europe and places like Africa and Asia.
Oh, you heard it here first, folks. Rev up those ovens.
No,
I get what you're saying.
We need
I
a
get what
bumper
you're saying.
sticker.
Well, using chemicals and medications extremely fast or pesticides can be a problem on occasion.
Oh, it absolutely would have tons of
Because
short-term,
these things evolve.
detriments. But the thing is, if you just roll it out very quickly, you'll have an extreme long-term benefit by the means of having completely eradicated the species of mosquito that malaria tends to inhabit.
Yeah.
Right. A question for you, Crambo, on the enforcement of liberties. Do you think that it's possible for the in-group to recognize people's individual liberties, but not recognize the individual liberties of the out-group? For example, if you live in a libertarian society or a minarchist society that has strong border protections and a strong military that's not afraid to kick people out, do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I think that the government is only really responsible for protecting the liberties of the in-group. The out-group has their own different governments and other organizations that they can form to affect the same cause, but there's just, because of the reality of we have limited resources and other fundamental truths like that, you can't just enforce liberty on everyone with one government organization.
Right. This is the argument against the Adam Kokeshes of the world, where the protection of individual liberties is universally true and that there's no exception.
Oh, dude.
It is universally true, and there are no exceptions. But the thing is, you can't pragmatically have the resources to implement that without having a worldwide initiative. Of the means of doing that just aren't within our grasp as humans right now.
Yeah, like I said, we'd have to, if we were to do it tomorrow, we'd have to wipe out a whole bunch of people, which we don't want to do.
Yeah,
so.
we need to. At this point, our best bet is probably just to preserve the liberty that we have here in the West and allow other areas of the world to become ready for it, because I don't think they currently are ready for it.
Right, yeah. See, this is getting towards where I view politics, but anyway, if we're talking about like a schism...
where have I gone wrong, Mimir?
If anybody from fucking LRN actually joins this stream and hears that you're talking shit on Adam Kokesh, you are going to get a fucking tidal wave.
Nah, fuck Adam Kokesh, he's a dumbass.
Speaking of, we do have a call line established.
Yes, we do have a call line, numbers printed on the screen, and if you're too lazy to look over, the call-in line is 318-661-3183. No, that's not my personal number. You won't be able to harass me after the show. Fuck off.
If I could just continue my brief rant on Adam Kokesh, I think he's a fucking idiot.
Please continue the rant against Kokesh.
Okay, so
love that.
essentially, I think I have a pretty decent understanding of political activism and political optics, like when you apply it to the mainstream opinion. And what he has essentially done is he has thrown away his entire life for political activism of a system that not only is it not pragmatic, but it's not realistic. So he has essentially pissed away what like little existence he could have had for no reason. So the whole, he's a felon in the United States because he was convicted of a felony. So he can't own a firearm. That's one freedom taken away from you.
He still does.
See, that's the thing. He does all this stupid shit, and then he wonders why he gets arrested.
He loaded a shotgun on Freedom Plaza and was later caught and raided, and they found magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
That will strip you of your gun rights.
Which is the thing, like, you can protest the system that we live in and not fuck up as tremendously as he did and then ruin the rest of your life, essentially, unless...
It just comes back to the principle, I think, that whether or not you disagree with the laws, you still have to follow them.
I see it more as a survival mechanism. Like, if you think for 1 second, I'm going to tell a cop to fuck off if he's detaining me or not pay my taxes, you're out your goddamn mind, because I understand that it's not in my best interest to go against the grain of the state in a current situation.
I think it is in certain circumstances.
I would come to the same conclusion as you, Mimir, but I would arrive there through a more philosophically principled method.
Yeah, that's fine. I get that. My stance is I enjoy philosophy. I like reading about it, and I like having these discussions. But ultimately, I can be in favor of any political system so long as it ensures the survival of myself and what I see as my in-group preference. So it doesn't really matter what the politics.
I find that to be a little selfish. I don't care what happens to others so long as it doesn't affect me.
See,
well, isn't a bit of that baked into the libertarian ethos, though?
I don't think so. I really don't. I mean, I don't think libertarian is as cold-hearted and as selfish as people like to make it out to be.
Some people do take it to their extremes. I'm not going to deny that, but I think in general, it's not as individualistic.
I don't mean that it is selfish. It's just that in order for you to be able to affect change on others, you need to get yours.
Well, sure, yeah. It's just if you look at reality, and I told this to the Sargonites, the liberalists, that collectives are more powerful than individuals. So if you want to survive and you want your egalitarian worldview to continue to exist, you need to form some kind of collective, whether it's a nation state of individuals or something, because if not, you're going to get your neck stomped on by a jackboot.
I get the feeling that this is a very slippery slope to slide down, but I do agree that in order for individualism to be properly effected upon the world, we do need to harness the power of a collective.
Sure, I'm not saying you need to go full 1488 on anybody or start up the gulags. What I'm saying is you need to understand that there are incredibly violent people out there who will kill you to get the penny in your pocket and not think twice about it. And so you need to protect yourself from that. Because if you're not going to protect yourself, well, then there's no point. Your entire life, your philosophy was a waste of time.
Yes, we should fire up the gulags if people decide not to abide by liberty.
Yeah, liberty or gulag, pick one.
You did not practice non-aggression! You go in the camp!
That's hilarious. I need that on a t-shirt.
It could be worse.
You want individualism? Have individualism in Siberia!
It could be worse, couldn't it, though?
It could always be worse than that. God, that's why nobody bothered going around the gulag.
I think this
they'd be in Siberia.
This is more of like a moral nihilist debate. I'm more in that camp in a lot of ways. I'm not really concerned with morality per se. I'm only interested in the continued existence of not only myself but my in-group, like I said. So,
what would you consider your in-group?
Generally, it would be white Western European people.
Racist.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
that's not having in-group preference isn't racist per se.
Oh, I thought he was being ironic.
He's a racist.
It's just because we share not only a common ancestry but a common language most of the time. Like I know a little bit of French, German, and all that, but religion is pretty much the same, and it's more comfortable
Eastern
for me.
Orthodoxy.
It's more comfortable.
You just got You just got my whole pitch destroyed, man, because of racism.
Your whole pitch.
You ruined the governor's pitch. You're gonna have to do something for him after the show.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, that's a very common viewpoint to have, and one that I don't mind. I personally don't care about whether you're white, Western, or what the fuck ever, so long as you can be changed.
Yeah, my in-group is more focused on what your ideas are.
Yeah, that's basically how I feel. I don't care what part of the world you're from, so long as you have my ideals.
Sure, no, that's fine. I would challenge.
Which kind of
people-
makes me a selfish jackass.
Yeah, I would almost kind of challenge you on that and ask you what countries and what groups of people have bred and fostered the ideas that you guys are representing.
Why the United States?
Well, let's think about it here. The libertarian sort of equalist, or maybe let's call it the liberty movement as a whole, is almost exclusively a European ideal. You know, it was born in Europe, came out of Europe, and spread from there. It was not inherent to any other culture. So I would say, from my own
wouldn't even
experience,
say that. Really.
Well, it's reality. So I would say, in my own experience, that
Hold on. What about all of the European philosophies and nations that completely rejected liberty? I'd say that it's less of a European thing and more of an Anglosphere and specific thing.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I'm not opposed to saying it. But most people don't even understand that this is almost an exclusively European idea.
Like, find me a German libertarian.
Oh, there's plenty of them.
In Germany.
Well,
German libertarianism.
Well, in Germany, I don't know. That place is pretty fucking cucked. But I know a lot of
Whoa! We don't need any anti-German rhetoric going on here.
I mean, it's not the people; it's the government.
Speaking of anti-German rhetoric, if I can go on a brief tangent, I really like all the YouTube ads that the Polish government has been putting out. You guys seen those?
No, I have not.
The ones about the death camps.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's more current events analysis, though. I'm not sure that's the purview of this podcast.
I don't give a fuck. This is anything. This is like the old Off the Air Live podcast. It could be anything you want it to be.
Well, I think it's a tactic that the Poles are using to get a better deal out of Germany in regards to the refugee crisis, and I think it's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be pretty effective. Well, they definitely see it as a crisis in Poland.
Well, the Polish are fucking douchebags, okay?
Excuse me, the Poles are one of the most based countries in all of Europe.
They're sitting pretty nice over there in Poland right now.
They're the least armed country in the EU.
Yeah, that's bad, but, you know, on other issues, they're pretty based.
They're cucks. They got no guns.
Nah, they're gonna end up being like the Czech Republic. It'll be okay.
I think once the EU breaks up, they'll probably be way better off. They'll be able to.
What makes you think it's gonna break up? Just because Britain left?
It's not just that.
No,
there's plenty of countries.
Political tension all the way throughout, really, like between Poland and Hungary. Basically, the entire Visegrad group is threatening to splinter off from the EU. They'll probably end up doing so. France is currently trying to steal the mantle from Germany. The Brits are leaving, and the Southern Europeans aren't a big fan of it either. I mean, Greece has threatened to join BRICS on numerous occasions.
I think they're just posturing because they owe too much money to the EU, but I think there's only two major players, and that's France and Germany. Everyone else is kind of on the fence about it, with maybe one exception.
France and Germany are also trying to cannibalize each other a bit, aren't they?
They are. Macron is very pro-French, and Germany is very pro staying in power as usual, but
who was that other bitch that went against Macron? Like what? Le Pen?
Le Pen.
Yeah, Marie Le Pen.
Yeah, didn't she get her ass handed to her?
It's pretty bad.
No, it wasn't that big of a defeat. I don't think, was it?
It was 32 points.
Well, it was a monumental victory for Front National, but it was not a monumental. Or it was a monumental defeat on the national scale. So they did good for their party, but bad overall and lost.
I think everybody thought Le Pen for a while was going to get it because the runoff election, Le Pen actually did extremely well.
Yeah, that came a lot from like the MAGA community. They were talking a lot about Le Pen's going to win.
MAGA in fucking France.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone who was really educated on French politics really thought that Le Pen was going to win.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, it's a bunch of outsiders who just happen to like America. You know, obviously dominates internet social media culture, and a lot of Americans were talking about.
We were able to push that narrative on Britain with Brexit and with the other election that they had recently. But France was a lot more isolated. There's the language barrier and just the small
Sargon thought Le Pen was going to win.
Yeah,
Sargon isn't educated on French politics, though.
Sargon is barely literate, according to my worldview. So let's leave him out of it.
Yeah, like I said, no one really educated in French politics. Well, I'm not saying that like I'm educated in French politics either, for the record.
Yeah, it wasn't like the 2016 election in America. It was much more easily favored to Macron, just simply because there's so many more people in the urban environments than the rural that vote.
France has always been left leaning.
Oh yeah, for sure. And even Le Pen was fairly left leaning. She's not. Yeah. She never espoused as much rhetoric.
Basically, Le Pen was a Thatcher, and France never really went through their Thatcherite period like we did. We had Reagan, the UK had Thatcher, and France didn't really go through that phase of kind of just privatizing all of
where
the
would
industries.
In that case, where would you place America?
I mean, we have
What do you mean?
You mean right now?
Would this country be considered left or right wing?
We'd be considered libertarian.
You would consider America libertarian?
I would say
compared to all the European nations, yes.
That's true, but I think it's too split to say one or the other. Like you have the coastal regions are almost exclusively left wing, but the entire middle section of the country is pretty heavily Republican.
We're too large to take as a whole generally, but if we're talking about within the context of Western nations, we do skew heavily libertarian.
Oh, definitely. Even like a lot of our Democrats are like pro-gun and things like that, which is just not the case in Europe.
And a lot of our, conservatives are pro ending all of the pointless wars. Yeah. But then again, a lot of conservatives are also pro-free healthcare, aren't they?
Look, no one said it was perfect.
Of course it's not perfect. You got to get this shit changed from the inside, but libertarians are always going to struggle with these kinds of things. They don't know how to... They don't know how to organize things together. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you for everybody that tuned in or later listened on the podcast. This has been the Hour of Freedom.
The half hour of freedom.
Oh, he left.
Oh.
That was quick. I was going to ask a question.
Good. We're probably not going to get picked up, but it'd be fun to do this.
Yeah, for sure. I was just going to ask him if fucking Gary Johnson was a libertarian, because I honestly don't know.
Well, he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's supposed to be, but is he? I don't think so.
I think that's the correct answer to that one, is he's supposed to be.